Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Fitness, where we keep that real estate muscle strong. And today we're going to talk about renting out your property. I have been having so many conversations about this lately, especially when the person that has the property has a really great interest rate, like maybe in the 2s and 3s or something like that, right? We saw those those rates a few years ago now. But if you've got a rate like that and you're thinking about making a move and keeping your home as an investment property to create cash flow, to really start working toward that retirement and building that portfolio, that's not a bad idea. However, it can be a little bit scary, right? It can be a little overwhelming depending on what your experience level is. Have you done this before? Maybe it was your very first home that you owned and you've never owned another home. And I can see how that can be a bit overwhelming when you start to dig into all the little things that you got to think about and do when you're moving toward renting. So I'm just going to talk about 6 main things today, and the biggest topics or the most popular topics that I chat with people about when they are looking to make their property an investment property, a rental property, and get some tenants in there. For those of you who are familiar with Matt and I, Team Evo AZ, we work in sales and service as far as real estate, and we have investment properties of our own. We don't actually handle the physical renting of properties for our clients, but we have been a resource and a guide for those that want to do that and want to put a tenant in there and start that real estate portfolio. So the first question that I always get is, do I need a property manager? And that really depends. Typically, I'll have a conversation. This is so case by case, so it's tough to really give a blanket answer, but I'll have a conversation with that person. We'll talk about what their goals are, where they're going to be in, what's their physical location going to be. So are you moving out of the area? Are you going to be in a different state? Are you going to be in a different country? I have some clients that have done that, whether they have moved because of the military or they moved because of work or whatever the case may be, and they've now left the country or the state. They're going to be very far away, and so that makes them nervous. Do I need a property manager, somebody with eyes and ears physically at the property or near the property if something were to happen? And of course, it comes with a cost, right? There's going to be a percentage that you give to this property management company, usually on a monthly basis, and different fees, whether they list the property for you, put it on the MLS or whatever other website that they use so that they can seek the tenant for you, right? So there may be some other fees tied up in that. And there is a way for those that wish to go about it on your own. Matt and I do it on our own. We are in the business, yes, but remember, rentals are not where we work. We mostly work in sales and service, and then we guide our clients and friends through the rental process because we are in the business and we've done it ourselves. We don't actually handle that. We manage all of our properties. We self-manage them all. So we don't have a property manager that we pay whatever to for whatever service. And we have developed a system that actually works pretty well. Hats off to Matt for that. He's the developer of the system. And that's what works for us. We have not run into, knock on wood, in the last, what have we been doing this for, almost 11 years? We have not run into any issues or incidents or situations where we have said, wow, I really wish that we had a property manager. Has not happened, but that's just us. And that might not be the route for you. However, you do have us, for our followers and clients, do have us for guidance, to bounce a question off, to lean up against if you're trailblazing this, especially for the first time. Once you've done it, for a year or 2 or 3, then you're going to be an old pro at it, and you're likely not going to need us very much anymore. But in the beginning, we're going to have a lot of conversations. And so one thing that I always like to tell my people is get a copy of the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act. Make sure that it's the latest copy. You can find it online, very easy to do. Just Google it. And that is really your guide. Go through that, read it. I mean, with a fine-tooth comb, it's longish, but I promise you that you will be better having read it and it may spark some other questions that you'll want to throw up against somebody, either, like myself or Matt or whomever it is that is guiding you, whomever you've chosen as your resource. It might spark some other things for you to ask that you hadn't thought about. So that's something that's really important. Another thing is, or another question that I get, especially if somebody is not going the property management route, is, well, where do I advertise this property? How am I going to find a tenant? And there is a site out there, a company out there that I direct all of my people to, and they offer advertising. In fact, in my research over the last 11 years, I have found that the majority of our tenants that have worked for us, that have been good tenants, and we've even kept for a few years, even so they've signed leases either year after year, or they've signed a 2 or 3 year lease, whatever the case may be, have been through this particular source. And this source allows for advertising. Again, many tenants use it to seek out rental property opportunities. And then this source also offers a lease, because I get that question too. Well, what do I do? Do I need to have an attorney write up this lease? What do I do? This particular service, this source, does offer that. So that is something to note. If you are not going the property management route and you want to do it on your own, there is a pretty darn good resource out there that is very inexpensive that can help you with this particular piece. And then I always suggest to my clients, my friends, my followers, whomever I am discussing this with at the time, is to look into two other things, two things that are usually forgotten about by many people. And that is your property is no longer a primary residence. So you're going to want to tip off the county here. It would be Maricopa County or Pinal County, right? Depending on where your property is. You're going to want to let them know that this is now a rental property. And then also, you're going to want to give your insurance company a call. Say, hey, I'm thinking about putting my home up for rent, thinking about getting tenants in here. Is there anything about my home that you would suggest that I make better in terms of liability? For example, if you don't have a pool fence, probably a good idea, especially if you're going to be, opening up your property to potentially families, then probably a good idea to get a pool fence, right? Especially if we've got little kiddos. There's some rules and regulations surrounding that, depending on what city you're in. So you're going to want to make sure that you're up to speed with that. Contact your insurance provider, see if there are any suggestions that they might have to reduce the liability of your liability on your property if you were to put tenants in there. And then ask them, hey, I'm going to be renting it, so what changes do I need to make with my insurance in order to appropriately cover myself, because there are likely some changes. And then ask them about renter's insurance as well. I get that question a lot. I always suggest to my people, I require my tenants to get renter's insurance. I suggest that you do too. Ask your insurance provider about that. How much should I require? That kind of thing. And then that way you'll get those questions answered from the insurance liability standpoint. There's a lot more to it, guys. Those are some of the big ones that I've been talking with our people, about lately. So thought that I would share that. And again, remember, it's very case by case. It depends on who you are. It depends on your experience level. It depends on what your goals are. All of that stuff is, wrapped up in this. It all factors in some way. If you want to chat with me or Matt at all, especially if you're in Arizona, and you're thinking about this, and you just want to kind of bounce your situation off of us, our door is always open. You can just message us here or hop on over to our website, which is evoaz.com, evoaz.com, and you can shoot us a message from our website, and we will get in touch with you and schedule that conversation. Usually it's just a phone call, pretty quick and easy. We're there to help guide and answer any questions that you might have. If you want to check out any of our previous episodes, because again, we have this very lively YouTube channel with a lot of very hyper-local Arizona real estate and housing and mortgage information. Hop over to our YouTube channel. It is at Team EvoAZ. That is our handle. If you prefer to listen to the podcast, if you prefer podcast style, earbud kind of thing, maybe you run a lot, hike a lot, bike a lot, whatever it is, you're moving your body, and I'm glad that you're doing that. then you can hop on over to your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Arizona Real Estate Radio, and there you can connect with us. Once again, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.